This video was made in December 30th of last year, 2024. It's had over 3 million likes and, 49,000 likes, and it has had over 3 million views. Okay, so lots of people are watching this. Now, Huberman says this is his effort to bring zero cost information to the general public, and I get it. You don't have to pay money, but time is money, and this is 3 hours and 50 minutes of your time. That's a difficult cost for a lot of us to generate. So here we go. Okay, so first thing they talked about was impulse, and we have control systems. So there's a motivated state, which is our individual personality elements. Okay, so these are, and then we have control systems on our impulses. So we have to inhibit some impulses, and that makes up our control systems and our personality. So that's in a nutshell. The hypothalamus, a tiny part of the brain, around 5% of the brain, controls drives. Okay, so a tiny bit of our brain controls our drive. Fascinating. Remove the brain of a cat, except the hypothalamus, and the cat does just fine. Okay, and he becomes exploratory or hyper-exploratory. Explores all the time. Okay, the hypothalamus can produce exquisite rage without time or other issues involved. So soldiers back in ancient times would go into this rage, and it's a part of the brain that can be strengthened. And this is something that that many ancient cultures had, was this rage. And we even produced the gods. The god of rage was, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so can produce and other. Okay, so the cortex brings other things into consideration. That's a larger part of the brain, and that brings in other things like the future and other people. So 2-year-olds apparently work on gratification. They're not considering other people. But by the time a person's 4 years old, they have to consider other people in order to get along with other people. And some people, if they don't develop that by the time they're 4, they will never develop it through their life. So that was fascinating. Okay, so psychopaths do not learn from others, and they don't consider other people's thoughts. They don't even consider their own future life or future thoughts or what will happen to themselves in the future. Very interesting. Okay, so the hypothalamus has a separate circuit in it called the bite, or it's related to biting, and it has nothing to do with eating. That's interesting. That was Huberman talked about that. It says that it's a fighting or a rage element, and biting is one method of fighting, I guess. Okay, so here we're talking about Peterson brings up Abraham from the Bible. Says he was 74 years old. He was all set in his life, lived with his parents, and God spoke to him. Okay, so here we are, a little bit on the religious elements. He says, God says you have to go out and have an adventure, and you will be a blessing to yourself, you'll be a blessing to the community, and you'll be successful and remembered. Okay, so this is pretty good motivation. Okay, so here we go. Dopamine is that which focuses attention. Okay, dopamine is the currency of motivation and reward. So as one moves toward a target, dopamine is released and dopamine increases. And the closer you get to that target for your objective, the stronger the dopamine effect happens in the brain. Okay, so missing that target is sin, according to the ancient traditions. So to discuss hitting the target, that's not sin. Missing your target, hamartia, apparently, which means sin, was an actual archery term. Peterson talked about that. Okay, so then as humans, we infer aim or objective through that which we look at, through our gaze. Okay, so the Sermon on the Mount, God said, orient your eyes upward. Treat people as if they're going to go with you up, apparently. Okay, so Huberman says, after all of his study, he is a believer in God. Pretty interesting, because he's a neurobiologist. So Huberman says he's a believer. Peterson said that Foucault, the most cited scholar of all time, said that all action is for power, the objective being power. Huberman said that is technically and ethically wrong. Okay, so the Egyptians had Horus, the eye of attention, right? That was Horus, the eye of attention. That's a god. And then the opposite was Seth, which has now become known as Satan. Interesting. Okay, attention, quest. An intention is that which we are on a quest for. We are looking, asking, seeking. If we seek, we will find. This is the way the human works, apparently. So, Peterson said, read these following books. The Sacred and the Profane by Iliada. I've not read this book. The Courage to be Disliked by a Japanese author. And The Discovery of the Unconscious, which was apparently a work of genius, according to Peterson. Interesting that rats organize their social hierarchy through play, okay, not through force. So it's an innate thing for animals to play, apparently. Okay, Peterson says the antithesis of tyranny is play. Evil is easier to define than good. And he said Musk and Trump seem to be playing, seem to be having fun. And that Trump is deadly funny, according to Peterson, deadly funny, and he has a comic touch that is not found in psychopathic behavior or psychopathic dictators. Hitler was not known for his sense of humor. Okay, so Peterson has invited Democrats way back 7 years to talk on his podcasts. Apparently he's done it many times. And that attempt has come to nothing. Democrats are not interested in participating in the long-form podcasts. Excuse me. Okay, so Joe Rogan, a podcaster, has wiped out the legacy media single-handedly, apparently. Rogan interviewed Trump. Legacy media died at that point. Trump thanked Theo Vaughn, who's a podcaster, at his inauguration. Theo is funny, backwoodsy hip, so funny. The elites criticize Theo and his backwoodsy way. Republicans need an alternate voice from Democrats, okay, because they will become too powerful. Democrats need to drop woke idiocy. Apparently they're into wokeism. Okay, so Peterson says he's invited Democrats to be on the podcast. He says all people of courage have left the Democrat Party. Democrats are not the voice of the working class. Democrats need to be able to talk for 3 hours in long-form podcasts. And podcasts are real. Okay, so they're not sound bites, they're real. Huberman said he gets very scared before he does a podcast, which I think is interesting. To do anything, you will first be a fool, which is kind of the way I feel right now, because this is new for me. So here I am. To do anything, you'll first be a fool. That's the price of entry. You have to be willing to be a fool. Peterson says he has a proclivity toward depression, and that mourning is his difficult time. But he says his life is absurdly, ridiculously interesting all the time. So he has gratitude, which apparently helps him. Peterson tours from January through June. Even in Europe, you can check his schedule at jordanbpeterson.com. He says, wear a coat. Everybody's wearing a coat. Maybe even a coat and tie. But wear a coat because you'll be out of place if you don't. All right, so Peterson Academy is being produced now. 35 lectures are now. Each one is 6 to 8 hours. roughly equivalent to college coursework. 100% positive culture in this Peterson Academy. Learn and support each other. That's what the objective is. They have the best professors. Apparently Michael Malice, I don't know him, did a lecture on totalitarianism, and he said he cried during watching the trailer. So anyway, YouTube is the spoken word is now available as the written word. This is the first time in history, and it is a world-altering revolution, according to Peterson. Jordan Peterson put 200 hours of lectures on YouTube. He was called a Nazi. Jordan has a core aim of opposing totalitarianism. Anywhere in the world, Peterson is confronted with people thanking him for turning their life around. And he says there is nothing better than that for him. That's highly rewarding. And Huberman has a new book called Protocols, an operating manual for the human body. You can find that on pre-sale at protocolsbook.com. Interesting that this podcast, 3 hours and 50 minutes, had 26 advertisements, which is kind of a lot, but a lot of people are watching it. A lot of people got to see those advertisements. So if you found this interesting, I hope it was. Send your comments to me. I read them all, of course. Consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll do a quick analysis of the next, or a summary, really, like the Cliff Notes of the next podcast that I watch. So thank you for listening. This is Mark. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.